But
we do run a podcast, and you are a great guest. You have a little bit of chest salad. Are we allowed to? Are you willing to talk about it?
Yeah. We got about 30 more minutes.
So what time are you going to get out of here first before we get down the rabbit hole?
Tell me about your cool fucking Silver Star shit.
I mean, we've got him, but like, I know.
I mean, on this side of the table, we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4 V's and a Silver Star.
My V's an RCOM guy.
No, it's great.
Mine's a Navy Com and a Bronze Star, only because it got upgraded, dude. Like,
that's good shit, man.
Now, from an AAM guy,
and nobody gets that unless you're in the military.
As an AAM guy, you do have some shiny chest salad.
Yes, I do. I have a Silver Star, Purple Heart Silver Star.
And we've got you, and we run a podcast too. So I know, this is going to go out on your channels, and I'm sure your users have all. But our people,
have you told your story on your channel?
Not on my channel.
He's not as shitty at dodgeball as me, but he's trying. He's working on it.
I would love to hear about it. I mean, you flew all the way to Texas to host your show remote because we can smoke here.
Yeah.
That is my favorite.
This is your smoking
ever. And it wasn't because it's like, it's it might be cost prohibitive to bring everybody up.
I knew I liked it when he
I'm
said,
going there.
I want to smoke cigars.
I think it's dope you brought your dad.
Yeah.
He was that's cool as shit.
Can I come too? I was like, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, you can bring him. Come on,
we
man.
had lunch before the show, and he was literally explaining, like, I wanted to be able to smoke cigars on the show while I talk to you guys. It's easier just to do it in your studio than it is to mine. So we flew down here from Minnesota.
Yeah.
When John told me you were flying down for one day, I was like, what a thug.
But since we also have a podcast, from an AAM guy, I love hearing, I had one guy in the military when I was in, they got put in for a Silver Star. It got downgraded to a Bronze Star because it was during the whole Spearhead. He was 25th ID, walked in. So they just viewed it as like, it was, he was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Plus he was an E5, so he wasn't going to get it.
Based.
So you have a Silver Star. So let's talk about the shittiest day in your career.
Okay.
Because every time I hear things like I have a Silver Star, the MOH guys that I've met and stuff like that, it's just like, you don't get those unless the day absolutely fucking sucked.
Yeah.
So, every Medal of Honor day, I text Clint Roma shot. I'm always like, happy worst day of your life, biatch.
Silver Stars aren't too far behind. I would love to know, and obviously only.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make
you tell whatever you want to.
I'm not trying to make you go to the super dark place, but
I just
hit me with the citation piece. Like,
I get it. Yeah.
How did we get there?
Yeah, and for the long form, because I have done long form detail, and like what you had asked before, that I've talked to the Black. That was actually the first time I talked publicly. Because I just never did, and there's only twice, which was Black Rifle, and that was like the second part of the episode. We did a 2-parter, and then the American Veterans Center, they had heard and they're like, hey, can we fly you out for the gala? We'll capture, because they capture all sorts of stories, but they were starting to do more GWAT. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. So I did a long form there, about 45 minutes. And
so you can go find both of those if you want to hear the long format thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take you to like the super dark place and let's relive everything, but
totally get it. Yeah.
You fucking earned it. So let's shout you out about it.
Thank you. It was my third deployment in Afghanistan. I was attached to 10th Special Forces Group, and it was attached. Not Special Forces, nor MARSOC. People always
you guys weren't at
MARSOC,
lunch, but they're
so
very specific.
You were in the Marines yet?
Yeah, Marines. Yeah, so this is my third deployment, volunteered.
And what rank were you at this
Corporal.
point? A corporal getting a Silver Star in the Marines.
Yeah,
it should have been
a great fucking story.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it should have been a Medal of Honor. I will tell you right now, it should have been a Medal of Honor.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's just how we operate. It was like, oh, you did your job. Attaboy, pal.
Attaboy.
Fucking nobody cares.
Yeah,
that's the mentality, right?
Well, it's infantry. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like infantry, and we were talking about this a little bit. With Anti-Hero, but when I was talking with Brent, this was a conversation that's happening. Is like, hey, guys need to get their stories out there, and just silent professionals, and I took that to heart. So like when I was when it all had happened, it was kind of like, all right, it happened, and then I found out I was nominated later. And then it got lost in the Navy system.
Of course.
So Dakota Meyer's Medal of Honor run was a month after mine. We were part of the same platoon. I was going to ask because he relieved me. Yeah. And they had pulled volunteers from 3-3's sniper platoon. And so he had called me up in the summer of 2010 and was like, hey, let you know your Silver Star and my Medal of Honor, they're next to each other and they're going up the ranks. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And then I talked about his, I was like, dude, what the fuck happened out there, and all stuff. Cause I had known the situation that they were getting into. And anyway, so
one of the guys that went in to get was a friend of mine. Gunny Kennefick and me.
Okay, good.
Close.
Okay, yeah.
Kennefick and I were close.
I didn't know any of those guys because I think they're from.
He was my fucking admin guy. He was my admin chief.
Yeah.
My question is, why the fuck was he there?
Well,
was my 0111 there?
Yeah, he was. Well, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Sergeant Major McKenna's a cunt. I said it. Fuck you, bitch.
Well, that's the thing is, so we that again, that's a whole story about how all those guys got on, but or like how that came to be. But anyway, so. It had gotten lost for like 3 years. And so I was like, well, they just denied it. Like I'm Marine Corps. I don't know. I'm a Marine infantryman. Like it got denied or something, like that's just our life. Like how many other guys do you know that got put in for stuff? And they're like, yeah, not good enough. Whatever. We don't care. So I was like, cool, whatever. But they did eventually find, they found it. It just got stuck on someone's desk. So 3 years later, they were like, hey, it's actually my dad was the one that found it because my team leader told him like, hey, nominate Ethan. And then I assumed it was dead. He had asked for it. My dad was like, hey, what's up with that? I was like, I don't know. So he gets a hold of congressman, found it in like 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And then basically the Navy's like, please don't tell people that because that's an embarrassment.
Wait a minute. Your Minnesota congressman actually did something?
Yeah. Well, he's Republican.
Oh.
Anyway, so the day of, so what happens is the
governor fought him on it, but he won.
Yeah. I think we were Republican at the time, but yeah. Anyways, but so we were combat advisors and we were with the Afghans and I was attached to 10th Group Special Forces because they needed some of our Afghans. So we took to do missions. So took my reconnaissance platoon, attached myself to them, and then so that we could do operations together, the ODA 0114. And so we were like, hey, let's go to the end of our valley because we hadn't been there yet. Let's go do key leader engagements, but we'll catch them off guard. So we'll start at like 3 a.m. in the morning and we'll make our way north and we'll go to the end of the road. We won't stop till the road ends and then we'll make our way south and then we'll just kind of hit the villages on the way out. Just because we hadn't been that far yet. We were a small team. It was a pretty big valley. We'd already met some pretty big resistance trying to move north. So when we made moves, we had to make big moves. So we were like doing basically 3 elements to our call. So we had front element with like 2 gun trucks, middle element, and then a southern.
Right.
So then we could bound and then we could always.
So for the listener, a key leader engagement is not what you think.
Yeah.
It just means to go shake their hand and talk
to we go
tribal leaders.
Tribal leaders. Yeah. Whoever's in that village, head of the village,
call.
the old man, we just go shake hands and hey, what's going on?
Did you have a KPOC element?
What's that?
So civil affairs, psychological operations element?
No, we didn't. No. This is straight. It was just ODA in the combat advisors. So we had planned all this stuff where it was like, hey, you have a mid-tier front, mid, and southern element. And so we're like, all right, we'll bug out, head north. So we end up doing that. We were pretty stacked too. We had like 3-4 gun trucks, a whole ODA team with my recon Afghans and then like, one more Marine that came with. So it was his first patrol, Gunny Rogers.
Okay.
So it was his first patrol because they were going to relieve us. So they were sending admirals.
Right seat ride.
Yeah. Left seat, right seat. So we go north. We catch them off guard. We're like, oh shit. They're like, oh shit. Fucking 6 a.m. in the morning. Everyone shows up to their doorstep. We get to the end of the road. And then we took photos, had a little engagement, like, hey, and we're taking photos of everyone because we're like, okay, military age males more than there ever should be in this village. And because that's where they would used to like gather before they'd go into Kabul province or they would fight us, etc. So we were taking photos. One guy came up to us. He goes, hey, I'm an AMP. I'm Afghan National Police. And would like hand us, we're like, cool, we'll take a photo, all this shit. And we're like, all right, sounds good. Let's start heading south. And so we start heading south and Chief Warrant Officer Vose is like, hey, let's split off from the element. Let's patrol down the wadi or the river. I wouldn't say river. It was
The wash.
Pretty, yeah, exactly. It's like the wash.
It's a ditch.
Yeah, and well, these were pretty significant. So it was like it was. But
It's a big ditch.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Houston, it's a lot like the shit that's behind all the neighborhoods.
yeah. Well, it was like that. But it was like very steep, and so it was like it was dried up riverbed essentially. Yeah. And so we started making our way, split from the element, and it's about probably 12 Afghans. It was myself, Rogers, and it was Vose, it was Shuey, Stovall, and Affleck. So it was 4 ODA and 2 Marines, and then the rest were Afghans.
That's a fucking pipe hitting crew, dog.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
So we
there's all those soft guys that are in ODA.
Yeah. Soft ODA. Yeah. And so we started making our way, and somebody in the Southern Element radios up like, hey, you guys are probably going to get hit. They're starting to maneuver. A villager came up like, hey, your guys are pretty far fucking north. Like, they're going to start maneuvering on you.
It's a little spicy up here.
It's a little spicy. Yeah. And we knew it. We're like, okay, sounds good. And so we kept making our way through the riverbed. And then that's when we kind of started losing comms, but we still have enough to like, hey, let's like everybody be aware. Cause what we're going to do is parallel each other down. Right. Like we're going to take the riverbed and we'll walk the vegetation, and then we'll meet you at the next village. Naturally that goes to shit.
I think a lot of people don't understand, like what you just said with the losing comms thing. The
mountains.
The up down area is
nuts.
Oh, it's insane.
It's in Afghanistan. Yeah. I mean, it's 100 meters. Yeah. You'll go 100 meters and lose everything. Most of our radio comms it's a lot of line of sight shit.
Line of sight doesn't work well. When you lose that LOS, it fucking is awful.
Yeah. And I showed my wife, I printed the last photo I took is on that patrol. I took a photo of Shuey and I showed her. I was like, this is what it looked like. She was, holy shit. The terraces that they use for farming, she saw it visually. I was like, this is the last photo I took before we got into that firefight, like 20 minutes later. And it's beautiful mountains and the terraces and they're like 10, 15 foot drops.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she was like,
wild.
Oh, I kind of get what you're talking about. Cause no one knows visually what it looks like.
And that's why, so to the listeners out there, when you hear these stories about like, cross valley fighting and all that kind of stuff, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
These terraces that existed, they were hard points, and you could literally fight from these.
I mean, there's a reason every invading force since Alexander the Great has had a problem with Afghanistan.
Yeah. And it's
especially the north. Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. Visibility is awful. Communication is awful. Even with all the tech that we have,
it's quite arguably really the hardest place to fight in the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like in mountain warfare. So we're moving down. And we lose comms and we lose line of sight naturally because they're on vehicles heading south. We're walking through riverbeds, so, And so, but we did get the last word like, hey, be aware, you guys are probably going to get hit. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I tell my Afghans that. And I remember looking at one of the younger kids and he just like, his eyes are like, fuck. Like you're in a valley surrounded by mountains in Taliban territory. He knows this. And he's just like, oh my God. So I told him, I was like, the flip down switch for those that can visually see was like, hey, flip your AK to semi-auto or auto, full auto, whatever you want to do, but to get ready for a fight. And so we do that, prepare our guys, and then we start maneuvering down the riverbed. And my buddy Shuey, he's leading the patrol. He goes, hey man, come over here. I was like, hey, he's like, looks at me and I take a knee. We're all kind of aware of what the situation in the canopy. And I have photos of like other areas that I could kind of give like a good representation. We're in this riverbed, but then the canopy, it's like 20, 30 foot high, sides or, I won't say mountain sides, but, we're down in this riverbed and then the canopy just absolutely envelops. And so we're next to this tree in the riverbed and it's all dried up. So I kind of walk over to him and kind of get about 10 feet away from him. He's like, hey man, do you hear that? You hear that? And I'm like, I pause for a minute. And that's when I heard the Allah Akbar, just, Allah Akbar. And then fucking all hell breaks loose. So they had set up an ambush on us and they were shooting down into us, but the canopy was thick enough. They knew where we were, but not pinpoint.
Oh, okay.
So immediately we get hit with machine guns, ambush, the tree next to me, splinters. And that's why I wear eye pro. But that was the first time I got wounded. I took shrapnel all of them near my eye, but not in my eyeball. I had cuts all around my face, all this other shit. I had my, eye pro like on my helmet. Yeah. And, so that's the first time I got wounded in that firefight. We immediately exchanged fire, going back and forth, push them back, all this other stuff. Stovall gets hit in the leg through and through, good to go. So, but I go run over and patch him up. We're still taking fire. I go and patch him up. It's one of those funny, kind of the little details is funny is like I get all excited, you know, and I'm like, because I have a med bag. We got trained up really well on medical on TCCC. So I bust out my K-bar and I'm about to like rip his pant leg open. And he just goes, stop, you know, because the K-bar is like new and those things are fucking sharp.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I'll do more damage.
I gave these guys all one for Christmas.
Oh my
I was like, if you're going to get a K-bar, you need to get one from a Marine. That's what I told them.
Fuck, I didn't get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not.
Oh, I have it at home then. You have a K-bar. You have one.
It's been at home for like 3 years.
It's been there a while.
Anyway, he's on the clock.
Yeah. I would say probably another 30 minutes. And but yeah, so I bust out my shears, get him patched up, and then we push him back enough where we volley fire and we're like, hey, we gotta break out, we gotta get out of this riverbed because we're obviously in a terrible position. So we bound up the riverbed side of the rock wall, and it is crazy because you just have canopy, and it's just so we're moving. It's really funny because Vose is leading it out, and then we're bounding up. And he bounds up, and I'm like, okay, his bound will like break the canopy, and then we'll be, you know, start maneuvering. So he bounds up to like where the canopy breaks, and he's like set. And he looks at me and he smirks. I was like, you fucking asshole. Like it was a funny
You're
exchange.
next.
Yeah. He was like, I'll let the Marine break the canopy and put his ass out in the breeze. So he looks back, he's like set. And I was like, and I smiled, I was like, you fucker.
Marines fight first, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Go earn your title, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I break through the canopy, and then, you know, we're asses hanging in the breeze. So we end up fighting our way and jumping over, like, and securing a spot like on this terrace. Get everybody up, and then we kind of take a break, and you know, there's all these like small details, you know, trying to figure out chronologically in order because a lot was happening. We get everybody up online, and that's when we start exchanging more fire. They start circling us. We're starting to see targets, all sorts of shit. And Afghans are fighting. You know, we're duking it out, but we're okay. We're like, all right, you know, we're in a firefight, but we're all right. And like I said, there's like little funny incidents that gonna happen in all that. There's one where I was glassing this little tiny finger, and you could tell that they didn't know where we were. And this is all like within like 50, 100 meters. It was like this little terrace not far from us. And I'm scoping, and I have an M14, and it comes around the corner, and I'm like, it blew my mind. I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen a guy this close.
Yeah,
he's got an AK on him, and he's just kind of like walking in there out, and he turns the corner. And I see him, and then he sees me see him. And the look on his face, he goes, oh, fuck. Like, he's just, turns, and I get excited. I pull the shot. Yeah. Fucking hits right next to his foot. Next you know, I'm like, no, you know, it's just one of those things where like, I can't believe I'm seeing. I pull the shot, go right back on, like within not even half second, you know, I get right back on his back. He's running, and dude, his back explodes, but it wasn't me. It was the whole line of like 18 dudes just light him up. They like tear him apart, and we're all like, like, ah. And then, you know, it was funny. I look over at my Afghans, and they were like, "Did you boys do that?" You know, and then Shui's like, everyone's just like, ah. It was like this like game scoring moment, you know, or something. It was nuts. Yeah, it was a very real bonding moment for all of us. Anyway, so that was kind of one of those things that I remember in my mind distinctly happening, and you know, and so. We're still exchanging fire, but I'm like, hey, I'm going to go head over to the west side. And I'm going to secure the west side because the road's on the west side, but we have to bound and get to it. So I go to the west side. We're still taking fire. So we're taking fire from like the east and the north. And we're like, okay, cool. And probably the south at this point. And I go to the west side, and I'm holding security, but I'm always looking to the east because that's where we're taking fire from. And that's when I got hit with a machine gun. Like I thought it was lights out. Like I just remember the wall exploding, and in my mind I thought it was an RPG. Like I thought I got hit with an RPG and I'm dead. Well, boom, it hits, sparks, black, and then the next thing I know, I'm running. Like I'm up, I'm running, and I'm like calculating everything in my head in like nanoseconds. Like my arm's on fire, my neck is on fire, but I don't feel pulse. Like everything was happening all along. Everything's in slow motion.
Straight primal.
It is straight. It's like adrenaline going.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not dead yet. And I remember telling myself, it's like, you're not fucking dead yet, so keep fucking fighting. Like that's exactly what went through my head. Yeah. And I'm running across this, next to this rock wall, and the rounds are just kicking up everywhere. And I'm calculating the running path and then the height of the wall. Because if I stop and I try to go and I miss, they're gonna fucking light me up. So I got to the point where I'm running, and I see my Afghan, and he was one of the dudes I trained, one of the Dragunov shooters, and he's just looking at me. He's like, "Come on, come here." He's like, "Come to me," you know. And I'm looking,
like, "You got it, baby."
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah." I'm running, and he's just, his eyes are like, "What the fuck?" And like, and
probably look like a fucking movie, man.
Well, yeah, it was wild because like,
see, this is why they thought Americans were bulletproof.
Yeah, it's like, and like rounds are just kicking up, and so I run and I jump over the rock wall, and I'm firing with my M14. Now we're surrounded. Now we are getting hit from, and at the same point, this is when the other guys were getting hit even harder too. So now we're surrounded, northeast, south, and west. We're getting hit from all sides. We're completely surrounded. And then I check, you know, like, hey, am I bleeding out? Like, you know, checking my stuff. Like, I'm not. And even when I go to the rock wall, I'm giving return fire, and I have an M14, which I'm like, oh fuck, like I wish I had my M4 203 now, because now I'm burning through ammo. And so I get, you know, kind of get coordinated. I see Gunny Rogers, and I was like, fuck, I think he's dead. He's face down in this terrace that we're on, and I'm like, fuck, he's dead. I have to go get him. Like, I can't leave him behind. Like, he's dead. I have to drag his body out of there and make sure they don't take his body. Because I was like, we're surrounded. Like, they're coming for us, you know? And so I call out to him, nothing. I'm like, fuck. Call him one more. Yeah, call him again, nothing. I'm like, fuck, one more time, and I'm going to jump this rock wall, and I'm going to have to coordinate with my Afghans for cover fire so I can drag his body back. And I call for him, and he answers. And I don't know if he was playing dead or what,
but
he was like,
sees me, I'm down.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, because we were taking fire, and he's just kind of like laying there. And I shouted out to him, I was like, hey man, I'm going to give you cover fire, count of 3. Like, you know, and I need you to start fucking moving. And he's like, Roger, you know? And so I counted and count down and just started laying hate into the, basically there's these buildings that were overseeing us. So they have complete advantage, and he starts running. They start shooting at him. I'm shooting back, giving him cover fire. He's doing the zigzag. He jumps onto the rock wall, but he's kind of an older, bigger dude. So I like grabbed his belt, and then I'm firing with one M14 in one hand, and then pulling him over the rock wall with the other, and getting him
fucking
over.
Rambo.
Dude, it was wild. And he's just like, oh shit. And come to find out later, because I didn't know who he was, because he was like a new guy, and we were having issues with a lot of admin Marines coming on these deployments, and they had no business being there.
Weird.
Yeah. And so but come to find out later, I had met up with him a few months later. I went back as a contractor and actually linked up with everybody I had been with, because I got back in the country so quick. So me and him did like an after action a few months later and just talked for like hours. Yeah. Super solid dude, had done like 7 deployments. Crusty old Marine Corps gunny, like great dude. But at the time I didn't know that. Yeah. Like I was, you know, so I was looking at him. You know, my comm got ripped out of my back, like, cause I thought I'd be high speed like the SF guys and throw my M-biter on my fucking, the back of my plate. And it completely ripped out my antenna. My radio's done. It's gone. So I was like, great. Now I have no comms. Worst case scenario. And now, you know, I looked at him. I'm like, hey, are you good? He's like, yeah, good. And I was like, hey, check me. Cause I was like, you know, and he's like, you're good to go. And that's when I hear man down from like across the way. And I'm like, you know, how bad is it? I start screaming back, like, how bad is it? You know, because I'm like, we're surrounded, you know, what's going on? And I just keep, it's like pretty blood curdling scream, like man, like screaming, just, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, I got a med kit, you know, I gotta go check out the situation. So I talked to Gunny. I was like, hey, can you hold this side, hold the west side? Here's my Afghans, keep trained, make sure, you know, we're good to go. You have to hold this side, like hold. He's like, yeah, we're good. I was like, okay, cool. So then, I was like, all right, I'm going. So I take off running, and I'm jumping down these terraces, you know, and jump down, running. I remember being wet, and I just kept running, you know, because it was kind of like, I don't know, it's like a small layer of water. So I remember it was like sloshy. And I'm running through their vegetation. It wasn't high, I mean, by any means. And get over to him. And then later on, I talked with my buddy Shuey. You know, I was like, yeah, dude, I jumped down the rock. I just kind of sprinted you guys. He was like, yeah, man, I looked over my shoulder and I see you running, and I see you like rounds, machine gun fire all around you, and RPGs flying over your head. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I was like, I was zoned in. Like I just, you know, I was blinders are on. And so he told me that. And so, you know, after the firefight, me and him were good friends to this day, and we hit it off when I was living with him. So me and him were close even before we got on that patrol.
Right.
And So I get to Vos, and he'd gotten shot above the plate and had gone like at an angle down. And Justin, God bless him, he was the 18 Echo communication sergeant, and that was his friend and a real close friend of his. So he was in shock. And so I assessed the situation. I looked at him. I was like, okay, and his eye, his breathing was all fucked up, and you could tell it had knocked him out. He was like, he was out of the fight. And I was like, okay, assessing the situation. He's in a panic, Justin. So I grabbed Justin. You got to give him a task. Like, any firefights you guys know, it's like give someone a task. You can't just, give them something to do.
You got to zero in.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, hey, I said, you're our comms guy. I was like, get the comms up. I was like, my comms are down. So get our comms up. Get us out here. Get us out here alive. I was like, you got to, get the comms up, get us alive, get the word out, get us a bird. He's like, okay. So give him a task.
And this is a corporal fucking barking orders to fucking. That's this is where the term strategic corporal came into play. Shit like this.
I think when people ask me that, they're like, you're a corporal when you do this. I was like, yes, but I was also like, this was my third deployment. I'm at my 23rd month of combat.
Right.
I've been a quasi sniper team leader. Like, they were grooming me to do that, grooming me to be a sniper chief scout as well. And
that's one of the things in the Marine Corps we do, man, is we instill that leadership very, very early.
Yeah. And this whole deployment, I had been spearheading NATO ISAF operations. Like, I had already built con ops. Like, I knew all this stuff. We'd have been trained really well. We just been enough time on ground, my experience. So like, for me, it was just like, get in there, do the job, get it done. Yep. And so, I always say, I think for me, it was like my apex of like knowledge and experience all hit on that day. Right. And because everything felt natural. Like, I felt every move I made, it felt correct. Right. Every shot I took, I felt like I hit. Every move I made, it was the right move. That's it. Just, even in slow-mo or just like I knew exactly what to do.
So you get your guy on comms.
Yep. You get him on comms. And then Vos is bleeding. Like, he's got a sucking chest wound. So I start working on him, but he's like exposed on this like lip of a ridge. So I jump over the rock wall to where they are. So let's kind of back up a little bit. So I jump over. I'm like, holy shit, these guys we're fucking exposed. So I'm talk to Affleck, give him a task. And then I look down at Vos and I'm like, okay, I got to get working on him. And then I look up and it's like, we're fucking, everyone sees us, like me and him. I was like, this is the worst place to fight.
Because if you have a great view,
and
so do they.
And so we're getting shot at, and I can feel the overpressure of the rounds just going all around us. Like, I can feel it, it's just getting but I was like, I got to work on him. So I'm taking off his gear, putting on sucking chest wound. And at the same time, I'm taking my F-14 and I'm firing back and forth. And then at a certain point, they're closing in on us. And then I end up going down to my pistol just to I'm holding this sucking chest wound. And then I'm taking that out, and guys are getting within about 15, 20 meters, and I'm just firing back and forth, just keeping them like cover fire, just keep them fucking, volley, whatever. It's a pistol, but it's still rounds going down range. It's all
still suppression.
Still suppression, exactly. Like, just keep going, keep firing.
Fucking 9mm still hurt, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I haven't met anybody that's been shot that cares what the caliber is.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just back and forth, and I'm using, like my M14's next to me, but I'm also like, because I'm working on him, that just came down like pistols, just working. I'm looking at his M4. I'm like, I might gonna have to use that because I'm starting to run out of ammo. And then, so working on him, going back and forth. So I'm holding the sucking chest wound, got my pistol out, using that, going back and forth. I get him better. Like, he actually, like, I patch him up and I can see the eyes start coming back. He's like, he's starting to come back. I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna make it. Like, we can make it. Like, we can make this happen. And then everything just starts lighting up again. And then Stovall comes up and he starts working on him. So like the 18 Delta, he had a saw. So I'm like, cool. We starts working on him, and I take his saw and I start laying hate everywhere we need to lay hate. And then it's like, hey, we need, which is a smart idea. He's like, we need to get him over this rock wall so we can get some cover. So like, yep. So I put him on the rock wall, and then we start working on him again. And even in that moments before Stovall came up, like, I knew they were trying to grab his body. That's why they're getting so close to us. Right. So that was my determination at that point, was just like, all right, if I'm going to die, I'm going to fucking die right here with him, but you're not going to take his body. Like, that's the whole time, was like, you can't let him take his body. That's what they're trying to do. Yep. They're trying to get his body. So that whole time, just duking it out to make sure they don't get him. And if they get me in the process, then they get me in the process, but he's not dying alone. So Stovall gets back up, Gets to us. We're like, okay, cool. Get a little more reinforcement. Get him over the rock wall. Then we start working on him. Then it's all hell's breaking loose. And I'm exchanging fire with the Saw. My buddies, Shuey again later tells me, he's like, hey, man, we were like 10 meters from you. We're throwing grenades. So grenades are getting thrown. They're trying to close in on the position. And then, you know, and I remember working on, so going back and forth, and I'm working on Vos. And I remember looking up and I'm like, I see 2 Taliban like running up onto this hill that clearly shoots right down to us.
Right.
And they're maneuvering up. Like, it's like everything's calculating. Like, yep, they're running up to a machine gun position. Like, I see going up this hill.
Because a lot of it's recognition of like, that's what I do.
Exactly. Yeah,
like,
yeah. I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I look up, I see that for a split second. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, well, this is going to be a long fucking day. And at that moment, it's like out of a movie, like 2 I think 55 millimeter rockets, whatever on the Kiowas, just fucking screaming, dude. They light these dudes up, just fucking explode them. And then a 50 cal gun run. And I was like, holy shit. And I look up and then this Kiowas, they're swinging in. They're just
it's the best feeling in the world.
It was amazing. I was like, oh my God.
Turns out superior firepower is still superior.
It's superior. And I was just like, it just lit it, started lighting everybody up. But we're still under fire. We're still surrounded. They're going Winchester, you know, everything's going wild. So, but that's where we got at least got some backup. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And Vos is starting to fade again. So I'm like, fuck, we need to get him out of here. And then they start the southern element and all of them are making their way up. They finally make it back up to us. They get to us. I hand off basically the medical stuff to my corpsman. I'm like, hey man, you gotta start working on. I need to coordinate basically a cover fire for the birds because the birds are going to be coming in. So I get everybody rounded up, all the extra guns in the fight, and I was like, hey, we need to give cover fire, otherwise this bird is going to get fucking shot down. And if that gets shot down, we're all fucked. And they're like, okay, Roger, got it. So I placed everybody, showed them where we're taking fire from. Bird comes in, and I said, you know, on my count, cover fire. So first bird comes in because we knew they were going to head fake. So the first one comes in, head fakes, helps draw fire. Second one comes in, I give the command, hey, start laying hate in all those positions they did. We give cover fire to the bird. That bird lands with like no room to land in this terrace. They land it and they run Vos in, and my buddy Shuey was running him in because I was holding the cordon and doing the cover fire. And he said one of the operators, whatever they were, that obviously they go in with the medical birds, you know, right. He said that dude jumped out because as he was running Vos.
This was a Kiowa?
No, this is the Blackhawk.
Oh,
so this is the Blackhawk coming in.
Yeah.
So Blackhawk medevac comes in, and they're running Vos up, and he looked at the guy jumping out of the Blackhawk, that, you know, security or whatever for him, and he said he jumped out, he looked at his face, and he went, holy fuck, and just like took his M4 and just started lighting everything up as Shuey's like running Vos into the bird, get him into the bird. That guy jumps back in, they get the bird out, good to go. And then that's when we're like gathered up all our shit, and the firefight was still going on, but they were more engaging the center and the southern elements. And then, you know, got my Afghans put together, and we're like, all right, we got to patrol back to the road and through the buildings. They'd cleared it. And so we, you know, make our way back. Me and Shuey are the last ones off the X. And fucking, we get back, and they're like, you know, they look at me, they're like, what the fuck? You know, and I was like, yeah, it was pretty wild. And, you know, and,
dude, I'm telling you, every heroic action, when you actually break it down, it starts by an accident. Yeah. Like, you don't mean to do it. And then you're just like, fuck.
Well, and almost all of the that you talk to are just the ones that, like, in the moment, that was just my job.
Yeah.
You know, like, nobody's trying to be awesome.
There's not really an alternative of what to do.
Yeah.
All you did was what needed to be done in the moment.
Yeah. And like I said, to everybody that was around me, they did their job. They did a great job, and they would have done the same thing.
Sure.
You know? And,
but you did your fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
yeah.
So ready in true filmmaker fashion, I'll bring it all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
That's the definition of resiliency.
Mm-hmm. Coming around. Yeah.